good luck for you, man.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight, I'm bringing in one Pacing Pete. He was my first thought when it came to this week's Know Your Enemy, Cowboys and Titans edition. We have a slight connection here as the Titans beat the poo out of a team that used to be the Dallas Texans last week. That's about it. Pete's a comic book geek who also has access to a brick oven pizza and has the misfortune, at least this week, of being a Dallas Cowboys fan who lives in San Francisco. Good evening, Pete, and how are the bruises from Sunday healing?
Well, thank you for that, Zach. I'm slowly recovering. It's amazing what alcohol can do over a vast period of time when you drink it consistently. So I'm slowly recovering, but I'm looking forward to the game this Sunday.
Okay, we'll do a quick beer introduction. I'm drinking a Messiah Nut Brown Ale. This was some kind of silver medal for a brown ale, and it's quite tasty. What do you got over there?
I am drinking a New Belgium Fat Tire Ale.
Oh,
It's
nice. Well,
typically
Colorado.
it's typically my beer choice. So I'm a big amber ale guy.
Yeah, I have one from Full Sail. It's very good. So before I die with this super hot hat, let's go. Titans all the way, number one. Wow. Anyway, so not me. Woo! I have the hat. I had to wear it. So did you make a deal with Satan to be a Cowboys fan, and do you want to come back?
No, I get that a lot. Living in California, people wonder, especially living in San Francisco, how did you become a Cowboys fan? Well, the long story short, my grandfather grew up in Texas and just was raised as a Cowboy fan. Moved out to California, and as it goes, it just trickled down to me. So I've always been a Cowboys fan through all the hard times and all the good times that lasted as long as they did. And it's just one of those things for me. I can't ever break it. And I actually enjoy going at it with the Niner fans here in San Francisco whenever they do play. It's quite entertaining.
What was the experience of the game on Sunday? As painful as you thought it might be?
You know what? It was pretty bad. I didn't. When they came out with the schedule, my first thought was, crap, we open against the Niners on week one, and I don't remember if Sean Lee hit the news about Sean Lee had hit already or not, but I just knew it was not gonna be an easy matchup at all. Obviously, things went a different way with both teams as far as missing certain players on defense, especially with the Niners, and so going into week one, I was a little bit more optimistic. Probably a lot more optimistic than I should have been that we might actually be competitive. But I didn't think that it would be the offense that would be the undoing of the team.
Yeah, it was 8. So we'll go back in time. 8 years ago, 2006. Yeah, I was a much younger man then. The Cowboys came to Nashville, and Tony Romo was Drew Brees' understudy. And I think he threw a touchdown at the end as the Cowboys absolutely beat the crap out of the Titans. And the most memorable moment of that game was Hainsworth, Albert Hainsworth stomping on center Andre Garrod, I think his head, after his helmet came off. And he had to be actually restrained by Jeff Fisher. And yeah, that was not a good year. That was like the Vince Young, beginning of the Vince Young, Kerry Collins era, which not a good era. But anyway, so what on earth happened to Tony Romo? Because I had to go through your pain as well, because I had Tony Romo and Des Bryant in a fantasy league, and he didn't seem right, Mr. Romo.
No, he didn't at all. I feel your pain too. I had that stack in just a regular seasonal league, and then I had them stacked on about 2 or 3 other DFS squad. So I was, as our friend Denny Carter likes to say, team shower cry right after that, because it was just, I don't know what happened. I mean, the funny thing is, when the preseason, he didn't look like that at all. Like, he had his moments where he, had some struggling moments, but I mean, he was just completely off his game. I don't remember the last time I've seen him. It's like he didn't see the triple coverage around Dez. He didn't see, there was the 2nd and 1. Everyone's going to always remember that 2nd and 1 now. I mean, I really hope that doesn't become the thing that people focus on the rest of the season. But for right now, I mean, all we can think about is him dropping back. God, and Dwayne Harris was wide open in the end zone. He goes for Jason Witten, and rest is history with the interception. It's just, it was. I don't know what to say. He just was off his game. It was certainly not. It's up there with one of his worst games he's ever had. But you know me. If you follow me for a long time, I'm gonna always defend Romo. I can't defend Romo in that game though, and I can only hope that he bounces back. That's all we can do as Cowboy fans. So.
Yeah, all I could think of on that touchdown was maybe Dwayne Harris was like the fourth or fifth read, but yeah, his defender literally fell down and he was like standing in the end zone uncovered. And then
Yeah,
the play that Des Bryant got hurt on, Terrence Williams was going deep, and I think he beat his guy badly, and then he threw it badly to Des Bryant, who got crushed, and then there was an interception. It was just like, oh, okay.
yeah. I actually got a chance to read a little article about Jason Garrett just in a press conference saying, he needs to not key in on Dez because he was, but I mean, I don't think he was keen on him too much, but it was just, to me, it went beyond keen on Dez. He wasn't making any kind of reads. He was just throwing it. It was very gunslinger mentality, which he is, but usually when he does that, he usually hits the target. So I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was a mental thing. I don't want to say it was the injury thing because I feel like we're past the back injury. But who knows? I think it'll be really interesting to see when he takes on your Titans this Sunday. We'll get a really good gauge as to what is really going on with him.
Yeah, sometimes you remember those really bad performances on week one, and it kind of hurts you.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have an interesting way of putting together a roster, and this offseason they're going to have some tough choices because, as far as I can tell, Des Bryant and DeMarco Murray are going to be free agents. What are they going to do about that situation with those guys? It doesn't sound like they could afford to sign both of them.
Every season I feel like Tony Romo's restructuring his contract. Someone's restructuring their contract to make more cap room, but I mean, Jerry Jones has just shot himself in the foot so much with his cap, with making these ridiculous deals. I mean, guys like Maurice Claiborne, Brendan Carr, they're really not penning up the way we would have liked to, and it's hurt them financially. And I would love to see them retain DeMarco and Dez. I'm almost certain they're going to keep Dez at Jerry Jones is gonna, have to make room somehow. Who knows what's gonna happen? But I've been a DeMarco fan from day one, so I can only hope that they do something and he's not gonna take a hometown discount, but they've got to do something to make sure he stays on the roster because despite the nagging injuries, the running back position has been just like the quarterback position, where they haven't had something steady like that in a long time. I mean, God, I remember the days of Julius Jones. I mean, I don't want to go through that again, and I really hope that they do something to keep him on the roster.
Yeah, I think America's still recovering from Julius Jones. I had him 1 year in like 3 different fantasy leagues, and it was a nightmare. I was only saved because I kept getting his backup, and I got like Marion Barber, who would always put in like an 8 to 10 touchdown year.
Yeah.
Oh, the glory days. Yeah, I know. I kept backing him up, and then I got DeMarco Murray in that crazy 2008 rookie class. I think I got him. Was it 2008 or 2009? I think it was 2009.
Maybe 2009.
Back then, he's in the future. Anyway.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the matchups in this Sunday's game. So, where do you think the Cowboys have a big advantage against Titans, and where are they going to struggle?
You know what? I don't want to get caught up in the week one reactions because we all can, take away from game one, and we can all take it and just panic. But I'm really going to try and not go that route. I think that the offense can still click. Dez is, as we all know, Dez is an elite wide receiver. We can see him go off at any time, and I think that can still happen, whether it be the Titans or anybody. So I definitely think it's going to be hard for any of the cornerbacks to match up with him. I hope Tyron Smith, he struggled a little bit in this first week. I hope he can get it together because I mean, last thing we need is for Roma to go out and then we're stuck with Brandon Whedon because of crazy injuries. So I really hope the line can get things together. And as far as the defense goes, they really impressed me a lot more than I thought they would. When I stepped back from the alcohol-filled rage that I was in on Sunday, I could take. There was actually a lot of positives to take away from the defense. They, despite the 3 turnovers, they only gave up so much, after that. And I felt like, they really came to play. Rod Marinelli's done a really good job with what he has, and this defense is going to get beat a lot this year, but at this moment, I felt like it's something to work towards, and I feel like they can hold up against the Titans now. With that said, I think that there is going to be room for the Titans to beat up on the Cowboys.
Yeah, well, one thing I noticed because I watched the game rewind, the NFL Network short version for the Titans game and then the Cowboys game. Jason McCourty looked good for the Titans, so that was because he was covering Donnie Avery all day. Donnie Avery was the #1 receiver for the Chiefs, and I don't know if he'd be the #3 for a lot of teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the step up to Des Bryant's gonna be big. I mean, Terrence Williams,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, even Jason Witten, who's considered ancient, who's probably like 8 years younger than me. And yeah, DeMarco Murray. There are some things that the Titans struggled at. I still don't get the McCluster thing, just because it seems like every time he got the ball, he got 2 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, they had Leon Washington in the game some, and I think he actually has more speed. I don't know if he really going to do any of that real
Mm-hmm.
running back stuff, but it was odd. I mean, they have the fantasy nightmare of like the real running back committee. They had like 4 guys carry the ball quite a few times. So yeah, I think the offensive line struggled for the Titans. They had a bunch of holding penalties, and Jake Locker got sacked like 4 times. And I'm not sure. It's hard to tell the defense because there was a really depleted team, and for some reason, Andy Reid seemed like he had a personal vendetta against every fantasy person in the world by not giving Jamal Charles the ball. And Charles only had a couple of plays where he actually looked like him. He got bottled up a lot, but as I mentioned, I think the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line had like 4 cardboard cutouts that were starting for them, so that was a bit of a problem. And I'd say Dallas has a better offensive line than that. They got some guys.
Yeah, they do. I just I think I just want to see it all to come together. They did a nice job in preseason. They struggled a little bit. I thought they would hold up a little bit better against the Niners defense because they are a little bit depleted. The Niners that front line, but we'll see how it goes. I've always been kind of a wait and see with the offensive line just because they're still young. They're still coming together. I'm excited that with the prospect of these guys, what they can bring beyond this year. But I really want to see them pull it together and not have Rummel rush so much. He was rushed quite a bit against the Niners. So I guess we'll just see. What kind of threat do you think the front 4 of the Titans poses for the Cowboys offensive line?
Well, Jarrell Casey is good. It's hard to tell who the guys like Samuel Hill and Al Woods and Ropati Piatua at the end there. It's really Casey's the guy, and it's so weird that they're switching. I switched over to the 3-4, and Derek Morgan's been like that 4-3 defensive end. They've been waiting to break out, and he had a really good game. I think Morgan and Casey were 2 of the top guys in the league in pressures. So yeah, those guys you have to kind of work on. And of course they signed Cameron Wembley from the Raiders, or after the Raiders cut him, and he was a 3-4 outside linebacker, and he didn't make it really as a 4-3, and now he's back. And he's doing pretty good in coverage. So yeah, they're definitely going to get pressure. It seemed like they were doing a good job, although a lot of that in the second half was, hey, we're winning by multiple scores, so we're just going to pin our ears back. So when it's a close game, it's going to be interesting. I mean, the Cowboys team, in a way, looks like one of those auction fantasy teams where the guy takes like 3 $50 guys and then has no money left for anybody else. So like they have these stud top-tier guys, and then it just drops off. And you're like, oh, man, what's the deal? Like they struggle with the I don't know if they do as well with the later draft picks. It's like,
Hmm.
well, if this guy isn't at the top of his game, I'm not sure. So yeah, it's going to be covering Dez and I don't know. It seemed like Lance Dunbar got in there a little bit early, but then once it was kind of a blowout, they probably didn't get to use all their offense. But and Demarco still had a 100-yard game, so yay fantasy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm I guess what I'm trying to like really take away from all that is the fantasy part. I mean, that's really when you get it when your team gets blown out like that, and at that fourth quarter rolls around and you pretty much watching the team and you're just like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna get the win here. You kind of focus a little bit more on fantasy, and that's pretty much what I was doing was flipping through all my teams and my DFS squads and checking to see if what was doing good. But it was nice to see Demarco fantasy and real football wise, do a nice job of putting things together. So
Definitely. Okay, so as a Missouri alum, I have to ask this question. So, do you think Michael Sam gets a shot to be called up for the big club this year, seeing as they don't really have much at defensive end right now?
you know what? I honestly don't see how it's not going to happen. They're so depleted on defense that they need help in every way. And Sam did a pretty decent job in St. Louis in the preseason. We all know he was pretty much like at the back end of a really deep defensive line in St. Louis. So we'll see how he does. I hope that when he comes out and he is eventually going to start. I'm sure it's going to happen. That he makes some plays, and I'm looking forward to see how he does. I hope he does well.
All right. Oh gosh. See, I'm actually getting some questions from Twitter, so that's cool.
All right.
Jody Smith from Gridiron Experts asks, should the Cowboys lock up their GM with a 10-year extension?
You know what? I'm gonna just say no on that one. I've already been tortured with this guy for I don't know what is it, 20 plus years now. So it's just uh, I don't I don't want to be stuck with Jerry Jones any longer than I have to. But we have to right now. We have to right now until nature takes its course, which I think is pretty much what's going to happen. So.
Well, isn't it? It's kind of a strange irony now with actually like comic book movies getting more realistic and gritty. Now you have an owner who's kind of like a comic book character from the Jack Nicholson Batman kind of days. Just all right, we're gonna go over the top.
Yeah, it's really true. I mean, he really is like a comic book version of the comic book villain of the NFL. It's pretty funny, but I mean that's just kind of what he's done to himself. He's painted himself in that image, and it all goes back to the '90s with his whole squabble with Jimmy Johnson, and his whole any coach can coach this team, whatever, all that crap. So, but yeah, it's funny you bring that up. I couldn't agree more.
And the allegations of sexual assault, although it seems like that lawsuit does sound a little like cash grabby
Yeah, yeah, I
for an
saw
incident
that.
that happened at least 5 years ago. I mean, I saw that pictures had come up, and now it's like they were 5 years old. I'm like, really? Okay. Um,
Yeah, it
he's got a lot of
totally
money. What's he
sounds.
do?
Yeah, it totally sounds cash grabby. I saw that and I was just like, I just kind of rolled my eyes. Whatever, it's just not something that it's gonna make huge news. It's just like more. It's more than likely gonna make TMZ news, but not big sports news. But I don't know. Who knows?
And Regan from Fake Pigskin wants to know if he can blame Romo for his ingrown toenail.
Yeah, I usually blame Romo when I spill my beer, so he can blame
That's a
him for
tragedy right there,
that is very much a
Forget about,
tragedy. Yes.
messing with coverage.
The coverage
One
for my beer.
reason it's odd because one reason why I just can't get too excited yet about the Titans is they beat a name franchise last year in the opener on the road. They beat the Steelers, and then they won their home opener against the Chargers. I mean, they looked really good the first quarter of the year, and then they totally fell apart. So it's like pretty much because of the way the NFL is now, it's like Jake Locker stays healthy, they might have a chance. If he doesn't, it's going to be the Charlie Whitehurst and Zach Mettenberger show, and nobody wants that.
What do you I mean, where do you see them going the rest of the season?
I don't know, but any kind of prediction, I just think they've got. I mean, it's Locker's. I don't know if people think he's bad or it's just because he gets hurt. I mean, he is inconsistent, but every quarterback's inconsistent. I mean, see, Tony Romo, and I don't think Tom Brady was looking so hot this week either. So it's like quarterbacks can be inconsistent, and there's a lot of pressure on him. But he's got pretty good weapons. I just wish they would throw the ball to Kendall Wright more than 2 yards downfield every play. And it just
Um,
boggles the mind. Like Kendall Wright, you see his highlights from Baylor, and he's like running 80-yard touchdowns every play. And the Titans make him into this slot guy who catches 2-yard passes downfield like he's Wes Welker. It's drives you crazy. But Justin Hunter looks good, and Nate Washington, I think he pisses off fantasy people because he's not that kind of guy, but he makes catches and he's still pretty good. Delaney Walker's not bad, so they have weapons and the frustration that is the run game. I don't know if Sankey's going to take over in that role unless like Sean Green gets hurt. So it's a bit of a mess, but it's just that I mean the defense. I just don't know what it's like. You had 4-3 personnel that weren't that good, and then you switched to a 3-4, and you had like 27 linebackers. And actually, Wesley Woodyard made a nice tackle, and Jamal Charles is like he's like the inside linebacker, the guy who's supposed to like the defense funnels all the plays to him, and he can't seem to tackle very well.
mhm.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Michael Griffin's still not that good, and Bernard Pollard touches a guy and he gets a penalty. So, am I the
um,
most negative fan of a 1-0 team ever? I think so.
no, there's plenty of us out there, man. There's plenty of us out there. I've just calmed down from Sunday. Believe me, I was like furious beyond belief. This is the first year I've had my little girl with me when I'm watching football, and every time I screamed or I hooted or hollered at something to the TV that the Cowboys did wrong, she just kind of like snapped her neck and looked at me and like looked freaked out, and I was like, it's okay, I'm fine.
She doesn't know the
No,
true
no.
you. The football fan you, it's a different. You're like the Hulk. There you go. See, we just keep it all going.
Yeah.
So was Morris Claiborne a disgrace to America? I mean, what is just he can't put it together?
I don't. There was so much hubbub about him when they first got him, and it's when they drafted him, and it was such a good. It was like, oh, we got this cornerback, and that's been a position of needs for so long, and he's gonna do so well, and it's just been such a it's been a gradually bad progression, and I'd like to see him get it together because I really liked him when he first came out. And we drafted him, and he had a good first rookie season. But he's just much like the Cowboy cornerbacks that they've got in the past. They have that good first season, and then for some reason they just trickle down. I mean, it's just every cornerback they've ever had. I remember Terrence Newman. He was the same way. He was very good his first few seasons, maybe even first couple seasons, and then just gradually declined. And I see the same thing with Morris Claiborne, and it's disappointing because it doesn't help the defense any more than what's going on. So
Yeah, you gotta do what you can. So there's a softer side to Pete. There's another side. He's the comic book geek guy. So talk about this your podcast that you have.
sure. So we record every Friday in San Francisco, and this show's called Scene and Nerd. We cover all ranges of TV, mainly scripted shows. We don't touch reality at all. So if reality is your forte, sorry, we don't talk any reality shows. It's mainly HBO, AMC, Showtime, some network stuff, Netflix, and slowly we'll probably start talking about Amazon and Hulu because they're slowly getting more and more shows, original content on their streaming platforms. So we talk about TV shows. That's really the meat of our show. We give you updates on what's coming out on DVD, Blu-ray, what's coming out in theaters. We give you our quick opinions on those that are coming out, as well as what the general consensus of the critics are thinking of the movie. And then we also fill you in on comic book movie news and rumors, give you our opinions on those. And then we like to end the show by giving you our version of book of the week, but it's a classic movie or TV pick of the week. So we give you something to maybe you haven't seen before and let you know what you should be catching up on.
So you can cover all the bases with this guy.
Oh, yes.
So what's your bottom line prediction? What do you think the final score will be this week?
Oh, boy. I should do something ridiculous just for the hell of it, but no. I'm going to try to make a grounded, realistic prediction here. I'm going to say the Cowboys win, obviously. Let's say 24-17.
Wow, the Titans only at 17, huh? Well,
Yeah.
San Diego's defense was pretty bad last year, and I think the Titans needed a last-second touchdown to cross 20.
Oh,
So we'll see.
Yeah. What about you?
Let's see. Titans score a late touchdown. We'll go 30-27. A little bit of offense. My Des Bryant Romo stack will do well. I've seen a lot of receivers do well against the Titans over the last few years. So
Yeah, I don't think fantasy owners should panic too much. Romo and Dez have had their off games, and fantasy wise, I think those guys are going to be just fine.
I hope so, because you see like Calvin Johnson, like that's what I wanted Des Bryant to do. Come on.
Yeah, that was poetry in motion right there, is what that was.
So it's just like, yeah, you might want a game plan covering that guy. But that's the Giants.
Yeah.
And for as pathetic as they are now, they've won 2 Super Bowls in the past like 6-7 years or something. So they're not bad, and they're in their own division. Gosh, stinking Giants, terrible, ugh, gross.
I think Eli face is just permanently going to be a thing.
Oh yeah,
forever.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Romo doesn't quite do the face, it's not
No, no, not really. Not the way Eli does it. He just owns it when he does it.
Exactly. All right, well, Mr. Pete, so let everybody know where they can find you, and thank you a lot for doing the show, of course, because good times. Trying to find a little time to talk football.
Yeah, thank you. I thank you for having me on, Zach. I really appreciate it. You can find me at Pacing Pete on Twitter, and if you want to check out our podcast, you can find it at Scene and Nerd. We'll be recording a brand spanking new episode this Friday, and it'll be up. Should be up the same day.
And that's Scene, the letter N, Nerd podcast. So yeah, Pacing Pete on the Twitters. You can find him, and you can find me, Zach_Law, on Twitter, and check me out on fantasysports.org. So once again, this is Know Your Enemy, Titans Cowboys edition. As we always say, somebody has to win. So enjoy your football. Good night, everybody.